Hi, 8th graders. Welcome to our new unit, which is we're going to read the book, The Lord of the Flies by William Golding. In this presentation, I'm just going to give you some background about William Golding and about the time he lived and the time that he wrote this book. So, about William Golding. William Golding was a British writer, schoolmaster, lecturer, actor, sailor, and musician. He was born on September 19th, 1911 in Cornwall, England. Although he always wanted to be an author, he even tried to write a novel at the age of 12. His parents forced him to study science. Golding followed his parents' wishes, and he studied natural sciences at Oxford. Oxford's a very popular, well-known college in England. However, after 2 years, he switched to English literature. After graduating, Golding worked briefly as a theater actor, director. He wrote poetry, and then he became a school teacher. In 1940, a year after England had entered World War II, Golding joined the Royal Navy, where he served in command of a rocket launcher. After the war, he returned to teaching and began to write again. He died in 1993 at the age of 81. And then you see a picture of him over there. Okay, so Golding in World War II. So Golding joined the Royal Navy in 1840 and spent 6 years afloat, except for 7 months he was in New York and 6 months helping Lord Cherwell at the Naval Research Establishment. He saw action against battleships at the sinking of the Bismarck, submarines, and aircraft. He finished the war as a lieutenant in command of a ship that launched rockets. He was present off of the French coast for the D-Day invasion, and later at the island of Walcheren. After the war, Golding resumed teaching and started to write novels, and he published The Lord of the Flies in 1954. So he's kind of an intense man. He's done some hard stuff. He's fought in the war. And then you can see this is a ship that I believe he was on. Okay. So history behind the novel. When Lord of the Flies was published in the early 1950s, Britain was living in the shadow of the horrors of World War II. Indeed, Golding's experience in the war had a profound effect on his view of humanity and the evils in which it was capable. Golding was revolted by the evil things people did to each other in the war. The Nazi concentration camps, the Japanese treatment of their prisoners, the atomic bombing against civilians, even his own actions as a naval officer. Golding began to see all human nature as savage and unforgiving. He had seen that even the good could be corrupted. After the war, the United Nations was set up to try and ensure that such a global conflict never happened again. But in 1954, when Lord of the Flies was published, it was the early years of the Cold War, and the threat of a third world war was very real. Many countries had built up arsenals of nuclear weapons with enough atomic energy to destroy civilizations. The fact that the events in The Lord of the Flies takes place against the backdrop of nuclear war is not merely coincidence. So you see throughout this book, Lord of the Flies, we're going to see things that reflect Golding's life experiences, war, and the idea that people can be savage or cruel. Okay, so here's a picture. This is when bombs had landed in Dresden, Germany. This is the wreckage that Golding had seen. And so then there's a picture of the mushroom cloud of an atomic bomb that was in Hiroshima, Japan. And then over here on the right, you can see how the land is just leveled. Like there's only a few buildings that are still standing. You just see it, how much is just completely destroyed. It was very devastating and evil. And then here you see some people that were at a concentration or a death camp in Auschwitz, Germany. And you just see how skinny they are, these poor people. Okay, so an allegory. In literature, writers often use allegory to convey their ideas. An allegory is a literary device which conveys meaning through symbols, actions, even characters. In Lord of the Flies, the setting, the characters, and even some of the symbols serve to convey feelings about leadership, order, civilization, control, and culture. One should bear this in mind when reading the novel and continually ask them, what deeper comment is Golding making about society and humanity? So we're going to see that over and again. There's lots of symbols. The allegory, they're using this person to convey a feeling, or this person to convey the message of evil or to convey the message of good. So we're going to keep, as we're reading, Golding is using this one character or this one symbol or this one object in the story to make a bigger meaning, or to have a bigger meaning that compares to the real world or an idea. Okay, so your assignment, after you watch the slideshow, there's some questions on the next slide you're going to answer. So you may type in this document or in this Google Slides and then just return it to me or send it to me, submit it or turn in. Or if you have trouble typing on the computer, or if it's just easier for you, you can write it on a separate piece of paper and take pictures and email it to me or send it to me. And the answers must be in complete sentences, and please use proper spelling. Okay, so here are your questions. Explain how Golding's own life experiences influence his writing. Use 2 details to support your response. When and where was Golding born? How might this have influenced him? In your own words, what is an allegory? And the 4th one, Lord of the Flies, is largely about human nature. Do you believe that people are mostly good or mostly evil? Use 2 details to explain your thoughts as thoroughly as possible. Okay, and thank you for listening.